So I'm here to talk a little bit about recommendation systems and the feedback loop. I will explain a little bit more what is the feedback loop, but just so you have a shortcut to it, it's more like when you are watching Netflix and your kid enters into your account and he starts watching Yu-Gi-Oh on it. And next day you get recommendations to watch Japanese animes. And you don't want that in your account sometimes. I would like to, but some people don't. So how to interact with that? So my name is Thiago. Very easy if you know any Brazilian. I'm Brazilian. I don't have the charming French accent of the previous speaker. It's a regular American one. I work with data ops and AI, meaning that I work with the DevOps part into the data engineering. So bridging the gap, and that was really, really nice to see from the previous speakers, that data science is not one guy doing a model on his computer, on his Jupyter notebook, and then sending to the IT and say, hey, I found this, I made a presentation to the CEO, he likes it, now put it into production. It's much more than that. The event organizer part, I like to say, DevOps Amsterdam and some other events that I help to organize here. And I always like to say that I'm very curious and very annoying, that if you ask me a question and I don't know, I will probably try to answer that, try to figure out what's happening, and I will call you in the middle of the night if I found the answer. So I can be very, very annoying. So today, to talk a little bit about what is this feedback loop and how to work with it, I'm going to give a brief introduction to what is a recommendation system. Everyone knows, but again, talk what the types of recommendation systems that we have, talk about why I think it's failing, and talk about AI. Recommendation systems are very, very old things. It did not start with Amazon, because my grandmother, when she wanted to go to a restaurant, she would ask her friend in church about a new place to eat pizza in her town. And that person would recommend something to her. It could be recommended based on her personal interests, like I know that Thiago's grandmother really liked this place or that. Or it could be someone that she had just knew and told, oh, I went to this very, very great, amazing place. I had a great pizza there, go there. So we should stop thinking a little bit that just Netflix or Amazon does it, because you take friendly advices all the time. Sometimes they're horrible advices, but you take it. Because the first type of recommendations that we've been seeing in IT and non-IT are the non-personal ones. We have been seeing this for a long time. For example, if you want to buy a book before Amazon, before everything, everyone used to read the New York Times bestsellers. This is an average recommendation system. Like everyone that bought a book or everything, this was the top selling books. So probably these are good books. This is a very, very simple recommendation system. If you go for the fork, TripAdvisor, and you say, what are the top restaurants in Amsterdam? You don't add any filters. You just say in Amsterdam, what he's going to do. He's going to pick up the average of the reviews of everyone and propose to you, hey, these are the best restaurants in Amsterdam. Very simple recommendation system as well. And of course, you have these amazing lists like the hilarious tweets about Donald Trump. This is a recommendation system as well. Like, it's great. I think they can make a top 100 of these, and they are not really, really done yet. But it has a lot of issues and limitations when you're talking about recommendation systems that are non-personal. But the main issue for me is that it's kind of meh. Like, there isn't anything there. It's not personal. It's something that you're just like doing a simple analytics, a simple query. It's not something really, really, okay, I'm going to use that specific product because it has that. That won't happen. So people came with the content recommendation system, where a user rates or stars or like or grade or anything about an item or a specific page, and you have additional data about that content. And you search for similar things on that content. And really simple example of that is if you have a movie. I have a friend called John. John loves District 9. Who here saw District 9? Almost no one? Good. District 9 is a sci-fi movie. We can see the duration. You can gather a lot of content information about this movie, actors, the studio, the language, and everything. And based on that, if you have information about other movies, you can say, hey, John may like Blade Runner. It's kind of like the same genre, sci-fi. It has a similar style, a similar vibe. This is a very simple content recommendation thing. It has also some issues and some limitations. First, the big data storage and access. You need to have the content. Wait. Yes. You need to have the content, the big data storage and access part, in a way that what I mean about the big data storage and access is that we are here in a conference about big data. We are here talking about storing pipelines and a lot of things. It's not just Oracle database that can do this. You have a lot of ETL process in the back, so you can show this to the customer, and whoever is building this, you need to show the data for him. You have a user code start in this type of things. For example, I told that John likes a specific movie. If John is a new user on the system, you can have all the content on the word. You cannot know how to recommend anything if you're just based on content. You have this code start on it. And that can be really, really annoying in a way because it has a very slow track of changes. Like, if you only watch sci-fi movies, and all of a sudden you are bored of sci-fi movies, and you start to watch, I don't know, romantic comedies, it will get a lot of time for that model, if it's the simple content-based model, to adjust and to see, okay, I should stop recommending sci-fi movies for it. But how can you get this information? And this goes associated with the how can you discover something new, something unexpected, something that you may like? If here I talk about movies, but think about Amazon that has millions of types of different products that you may bought 10 or 12. How they can offer something that you may like just based on the content. And it's really important because if you see, for example, Netflix now, this is my account yesterday. It's really funny because Netflix is very famous for the collaborative filtering things and everything. But now, on the top of my page, besides the Netflix originals, they have the trending now, and because you like it something. The trending now is the New York Times bestseller thing. Things that people are watching the most in the country or everywhere. They do not take into account any of the content or anything. It's just like pick things that are trending. And because you like the help, because I like a specific movie, is the content-based thing. Since you like this movie that has this type of actors, this type of story, everything, you may like this one. But you may all have heard about Netflix being the king of collaborative filtering and everything. So what is collaborative filtering? What is it doing here? Collaborative filtering is when you're doing something that is personalized. I want my item neighbor opinions. I want to look what other people think, how they feel about the opinions that I gave. In a way, you have, for example, items and users, and let's say it's a like or no like. The blue one is the like, and the gray one is I don't like. And you can start building a matrix of likes and no likes about this user, how they interact with these items, and you can come to a distance. Very, very fast explanation, but I will come more because it has some issues and limitations as well. It has a code start as well for the user and for the item, because if you have a new user that has no information at all about all the items, how are you going to handle this? And if you have a new item with a white column, how are you going to handle this? These are well-known problems of collaborative filtering. But one of the biggest ones for the big players is the sparsity. How many items there is in Amazon? How many did you rate it? How they can generate a proper matrix if almost everything is unknown? Like here. Imagine that the gray one is the white one, okay? If you have this kind of problem, how are you going to solve this? And the other thing is, these big players, Ahold, Amazon, eBay, Coolblue, they have so many items. And so many users, if they build all this matrix and try to calculate it, it's very, very expensive. This computation can take a lot of time. And then it goes to the distributed system, and we can work out on this, but it's really, really expensive. And besides this limitation, collaborative filtering is widely used. Amazon uses a lot. Netflix uses it a lot in the past. Now it's diminishing. For example, my Kindle yesterday recommended some things for me based on my book list. And in a sense, collaborative filtering is just recommending what users have rated highly, have liked it, have viewed. So this is my Netflix top page. I show you what was happening before. This is the top. If I log into Netflix now, this is what I saw yesterday. Why Netflix quit collaborative filtering now? Because Netflix doesn't want to recommend other things. Netflix creates so much content. Why would he recommend something that is not Netflix? So the top is Netflix originals. They are moving into this direction, and other things are moving into this direction as well. Because he's not just a search recommendation engine. He's one of the biggest TV and movie producers of the world now. So why do I think a little bit that recommendation is failing? First, the big data effort. This scraping thing, cleaning thing, structuring thing. We are again at a big data conference. I think I went to my first big data conference 6 years ago, where CTOs were shoving themselves on the halls to asking everyone, what's your big data strategy? Last year, I was at a conference where people were shoving themselves asking, what's your chatbot strategy? This year is, what is your AI strategy? But we still didn't solve the gap of how to use Hadoop properly, how to set up a data team, with the exceptions of the previous speaker that has a data team that has everything. That has DevOps, that has full stack, that has everything. A data team should not be just business analysts. It does not work like that. And this is a lot association with the high expectation. If Google does it, if Microsoft does it, if Netflix does it, why my company can't do? Yeah, you're not Google, sorry. And the other thing is the recommendation systems can be really, really, really annoying. The Google ads in the previous years, it's getting a lot better. If you want to buy a gift for your mom, for one day, you Google 3 things on Google Ads. The next day, you receive a lot of things that you don't want to hear it. So it's kind of annoying. So you go for the anonymous page. You don't want to log in. You don't want to give information to these search engines and to this recommendation because you don't want to be annoyed afterwards. And the most important thing, when I go to companies as a consultant and they come to me, hey, I want to build a chatbot or I want to build a recommendation system or something, they don't know what they want. What is the use case? They want to do usually because their competitors doing or because they heard about it. And the most important thing about recommendation that when we look just about transactional data and these kind of things is usually we are missing the context. I am missing the context, for example, if I'm Google, if I am looking for a gift for my mom, if I could say that to the algorithm and 11 months from now he would remind me for that and recommend similar gifts, again, that would be amazing for me. He would have the context that at this time this year, next year, I would want to know this gift. Maybe if my mom died in the middle term, it will be bad for me because I'll be reminded of her, I'll be sad, but that's another context that I should have to play with it. So missing this context is really, really important. And the other thing is, let's say I'm Jew, I don't eat pork, and I go to Albert Heijn. I never buy pork. Albert Heijn comes and offers me a sale in bacon. Okay, that's okay for me. But Albert Heijn may never do this. But if I buy pork for a friend that is coming to my house, he will have that information in his transaction history and may start to offer me pork because it's on my transaction. But how can I say to Albert Heijn that I have this restriction, that I have this thing? How can you add this personal loop? Because we are missing this loop. Users want to give you information if they see a benefit. If I talk to Albert Heijn that I like this, I like that, I don't like that, and you would add this to the recommendation, I would gladly do so. But we do not have this channel, we do not have the support. And the other important thing is sometimes this recommendation, they are not offensive, like the pork thing for a Jew. I, I, I am not mad if you offer me pork, but at the moment that on the title of your email says, tailor-made for you, you are offering that is personalized, then I think it's a little bit of a problem. Then I think you're a little bit of like selling too much what you cannot offer. And this is one of the things that you have to offer these limitation. Because, for example, if you go for Osteria Francescana in Modena, the best restaurant in the world, Massimo, you go there, he will come to your table and ask, do you have any restrictions? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you like to eat this? Do you like to eat that? He offers you an expert, personalized experience. Here he's making cheese in different textures, different temperatures, and giving to you. If you say, I'm lactose intolerant, he won't give you this plate, even if it's the best plate of the world. Because that's what we are offering people when we say that we are experts offering the personalized recommendation things. If you don't take into account what he has to offer, what are the specific attributes of the customer, of the client, you cannot do so. So what is missing? So I'm a data ops and AI consultant. So I build a lot of chatbots and AI stuff now. And this is what is happening recently. The AI uprising. We need to stop using a little bit of the old school collaborative filtering stuff. They are really, really important. I'm not saying throw everything in the trash, but there are fancier things now that you can do that you can start using more machine learning algorithms that are a little bit more sophisticated, but at the same time, you lose a little bit of control around the black box problem. Insurance companies will have a problem if they use deep learning because they cannot say, hey, I'm going to put 80% of my provisions in this fund because the deep learning algorithm told me so, and I don't know specifically why. So it's really, really important that we start looking into the deep learning thing in the chatbot hype, reinforcement learning, the human in the loop with active learning. For example, one of the best recommendation systems that I've seen is a company in the US, that I cannot mention it now, that they offer for you, I'm sending you 5 pieces of cloth per week at no cost. The ones that you like it, you buy. And they will start within time to set up your profile and doing things. In the first 4 or 5 weeks, usually it's a human looking into your Facebook, into your Twitter, in your Instagram, and checking out how to be an expert and how to find your style. Because when we are talking about recommendation systems, this is what we're selling. We are selling an expert that knows you personally enough to recommend something for you. So they have this human in the loop to give that, gather that feedback from the user itself, and added that to the model in an active learning fashion. So this human in the loop is really, really important. So in short, big data is a requirement for this, for the AI recommendation system, because deep learning needs a lot of labeled data. You don't do deep learning without labeled data. And otherwise, I wouldn't be talking at a big data conference. The data pipeline is the hardest step for every company. Don't think that building the algorithm or doing the network is the trickiest part. No, the trickiest part is if you have a company is gathering the data from the marketing team, from the ops team, from the service team, from the internal support team, putting everyone in the same room, putting them together and say, hey, we need to share some information. That's the trickiest part. And again, it's not for every business. Sometimes I get companies coming to me and say, hey, I want to build this recommendation system. And I say, okay, you have a lot of items. What do you want to recommend? We are going to put 5 items per sale per week, and we want to recommend them. If you're putting 5 items, you just show the 5 items. You don't need a recommendation system to put 5 items in a screen. Like, this lack of feeling is to say that it's not for every business, because you need to build your user's case. You need to drop a little bit more in the old algorithms and look more into the new machine learning things with the computational things they are becoming a little bit less expensive. The new Intel chip came last week, and it's extremely well. It's going to be on Google Cloud in 2 weeks from now. And again, AI is going to be your expert. AI is going to be your recommendation system, your support system to do it so. So, have any questions or anything? Thanks very much.